Hi, everybody. I'm Matt Turner from Realm.Security. Great to talk to you again. I was on a call the other day with a customer, and part of the challenge that they expressed was around visibility into what's actually happening with their pipeline from a couple of different standpoints. They needed an easy visual. Right now, they're using a different solution. And when they're going in, then they're not getting a clean view in terms of what's connected to what that data flow actually looks like, and they were actually concerned around resilience of what's happening with the input feeds and the output feeds. Input feeds being what's happening upstream, the actual source of the logs that'll eventually get sent downstream to their SIEM or to their archive, right? And this was a super short call. Basically, I was like, sure, I think I can help you with that. I want to make sure I understand what you're describing. So let me put this screen up, which is what you're looking at right now. So they can very easily jump into our Fabric page, get an overall view of the different feeds that are coming in, what they're connected to, as well as the data feeds associated with it. So over here on the right-hand side, you're getting a view into the different feeds coming in and the volume associated with that. You can take a deeper dive into it and look at specifics on their own if you want to, combination of them, or as I had before, I can look at the overall picture. And then from there, what we're doing is providing specific information around a date range that they're interested in, around what was the volume coming in around that, what did we actually filter out from a percentage basis, and then what actually hit their downstream SIM. So number one, they get an idea of where the spikes and the valleys are. They get an idea of potential ingress cost increase, as it's happening before the vendor actually sends them a new invoice for that. And they can then drill down into the specifics. The other thing, and the person loved this, was, I don't know if you noticed on this screen, we actually have one item here, an S3 bucket that we're using as long-term storage is actually in the red. And when you look at this graph, basically it's flatline. Now I have this in my demo environment. I do it for demonstration purposes. But what we have the ability to do is actually give visibility into the state of the input feeds as well as the output feeds. So if one of those goes down, we can notify our customer that, hey, you have a problem at one end of the pipe or the other, even potentially give some insight as to what is causing that failure, right? So this in and of itself, he was thrilled to see. It was super easy to get that information. He could get it in his current systems, but he had to do more work in order to get it. He had to log in, run some queries against it, get some visualization, et cetera, whereas we were just presenting it right here. What he wasn't getting out of this in terms of the availability side was our ability, Realm's ability to recognize that there is a problem with a feed. And we know that based on that baseline or that volume I was showing you earlier. What we're doing is a statistical analysis against this data flow, create a baseline so we understand what normal is to that particular environment. And then if we see a deviation or a sustained deviation in the traffic flow, along with heartbeat information, we understand if there's a problem across the fabric at one end or the other, in which case they can now go in, take steps to rectify whatever that issue is at their point. Maybe it's at the SIEM, maybe it's at the long-term storage. They can work on that. What we're doing for our customers in background is queuing up that information. So this S3 bucket hasn't been receiving information. Great, we'll queue it up or buffer it, save it, whatever language you want to use there. And then once we recognize that that S3 is actually accepting data, and this could be true for the SIEM as well, we will reestablish that feed and we'll have the queued up information. So they don't lose any data, right? We're looking to see, is it ready to accept? Perfect. We'll hold on to the information. As soon as we get a clear connection, we'll start sending it downstream. The thing that he was even more impressed with is he doesn't have to do anything within the Realm solution itself to make that happen. We're managing that. We'll automatically start that feed for him. He'll get back up to date, and the data will be flowing as expected. So two problems solved for this particular customer. He needed a really quick and easy way to understand what his fabric looks like, what's operating as expected, and then a solution to getting the data back into the system if there is a problem with either the input or the output. Make sure he doesn't lose anything and he's back to normal operations. Hope that was helpful. Thanks again. I'm Matt Turner. Have a look for our next video coming soon.